should I stay or run the other way? Tell me, is this real or just for fun? Tell me you're the one to stop this carousel.
It's the heart of France, and for the last 17 years, Manicourt has been at the heart of French motorsport. But this last Formula One Grand Prix to take place at Manicourt promised to be a very British kind of celebration. The rain that we've had in the UK in the past week has interrupted the action and excitement, but here at Manicourt it promised to add just another unpredictable element to an already fascinating-looking French Grand Prix. Season, of course, dominated so far by the amazing Lewis Hamilton. Those back-to-back wins in Montreal and Indianapolis have given him a 10-point lead in the Drivers' Championship. Everyone wondering when the dream was going to falter and when reality was going to kick in. No sign of that in qualifying yesterday, and we'll have race highlights for you after James Allen has taken us through the grid.
There's rain in the air as the grid forms for the French Grand Prix. On pole position for the fourth time this season, Felipe Massa. Lewis Hamilton believes he can get him, though, on the opening lap. Through to row 2, Kimi Raikkonen. It's been a long time since he's led a lap this season. Robert Kubica, a career best fourth for him on the grid. The Renaults are looking much stronger here. Fifth is Fisichella and sixth Kovalainen. Heidfeld is 7th, with Jarno Trulli in 8th for Toyota. Row 5, Nico Rosberg and Fernando Alonso, who had a gearbox problem in qualifying. Ralf Schumacher's last race victory was here in 2003. He's got Button alongside him. Honda looking a bit more racy this weekend. The Red Bulls were quick in practice, but not so in qualifying. Webber is 14th and Coulthard 16th, with Scott Speed in the Toro Rosso, a season-best 15th between them. Liuzzi and Wirtz make up row 9. Row 10, Anthony Davidson's 19th, Super Aguri losing a bit of ground at the moment. Albers is alongside him. At the back of the grid, Adrian Sutil and Takuma Sato, who was given a 10-place grid penalty for misdemeanors in Indianapolis.
Manicourt for the French Grand Prix, 4.4 kilometres, that's 2 3/4 miles. 75 seconds is an impressive lap time around this track. Surely one of the smoothest surfaces in the world of any race circuit. There are two very high-speed chicanes. Let's take a look at one of them. This is the Imola chicane, classic Manicourt really. An unsighted corner approaching at 170 miles an hour. Flick the car in at 120. I'm sitting where the drivers would be, effectively on the ground, and my eye line can only pick up the apex curb once I'm committed to the corner. I'm expecting Lewis Hamilton to be mighty through this corner. But it's easy to get it wrong. As Alonso showed us in free practice, the back end steps out and there's nowhere to go. It's 0 to 0 stuff in this section.
Welcome to Manicourt. Clouds in the sky, but it's quite warm and bright out there as well. We will see what this afternoon brings for us. Well, every race bar one has been won from pole position this year, but that one race was Malaysia, where Felipe Massa failed to convert pole position into a win. When the 5 lights go out, the French Grand Prix will be underway. Massa on the left, Hamilton on the right, and it's go! Looks like a good start for Massa. Hamilton goes across to try and cover Raikkonen, who's got round him. Raikkonen is up into 2nd place already. Kubica is in 4th place. He got away where he started, but Hamilton has lost a place off the grid, and look at how aggressive Alonso is being around the outside. It looks like he's making up places. Nico Rosberg being aggressive as well. A cracking start though by the two Ferraris, and they're 3 abreast down the back straight. Here comes Alonso in the run-up to the Adelaide hairpin.
And he just manages, oh, there's an accident in front of him. He's gone around, he's been clipped from the left-hand side. Has that done any damage as he went around that Renault? Did it damage the car of Alonso? I think it might have been a BMW he was up against. He needed to clear Jarno Trulli. He didn't quite manage to do so. So a bad start for Hamilton too. There is Alonso. His car, at least all 4 wheels, pointing in the same direction at the moment.
Where we've lost Tonio Liuzzi, who's gone off at turn 2. Liuzzi, who started 17th on the grid. Massa leads. Raikkonen is 2nd. Hamilton 3rd. Kubica is 4th. 5th is Fisichella. Kovalainen has lost some ground. There's Jenson Button.
Good start for Button then.
6th, 7th Rosberg, 8th Alonso, 9th Button, and 10th Barrichello. As here comes Alonso attacking Rosberg.
Alonso using all sorts of unorthodox lines, trying to, as we said earlier, trying to get those places early in the Grand Prix. He knows it's the best chance before the tyres settle into graining, before everybody gets comfortable with each other and knows their strengths and weaknesses. And those soft tyres will go through a graining phase. Alonso absolutely on the edge of their adhesion and a long way back from Rosberg. It'll be quite an outbreaking manoeuvre he'll need down there, and he's too far behind.
Yeah, you can see the effect of losing some grip on that long right-hander, turn 3, and it set him up for a not particularly quick run down the straight. Kovalainen has just arrived beneath me in the pits after that contact into the Adelaide hairpin on the first lap. Shame for him. Two good runs the last 2 races in Canada and the USA, a 5th place and a 4th place. Anthony Davidson has had to pit as well. Antonio Liuzzi, as I mentioned, is out of the race. So Massa at the front. Raikkonen has Hamilton all over him. Kubica is 4th, Fisichella 5th, Heidfeld 6th, 7th is Rosberg, who's really trying to resist Fernando Alonso, who's currently got 1 World Championship point position in 8th, Button 9th and Barrichello 10th. There goes Alonso up the inside of Rosberg. So he's now up to 7th. Let's hear from Ted Kravitz.
Yeah, Anthony Davidson out of the race, made contact at the first corner and has ripped off the whole left side of his side pod. So it's terminal for Davidson, unfortunately.
Well, that looks like Jarno Trulli, who's got some problems as well in the Toyota. He's getting out of the car. Whole front end missing there. Let's take another look at the start.
Ferrari's getting away very well on what is the racing line. Hamilton had to slot in. Never mind worrying about Massa, was lucky to slot in behind Raikkonen. If we just look a little bit further down the field, let's see what's going on there. On board with Davidson, and it was into the first corner where he's hit Liuzzi. So Davidson, and that's why he's lost his side pod. But you have to say, unfortunately, Anthony caused all of that. Did not allow, there's always a concertina down in the first corner. He triggered that incident and then collected Liuzzi as Liuzzi was busy sweeping up his own car, his own problem. So 2 cars out within 300 metres. And this is Kovalainen, who gets pushed from behind by the Toyota of Jarno Trulli. And then he went into the side of Alonso. Let's watch it. Yeah, Trulli came up the inside into a gap that was always going to disappear. Completely unreasonable driving there. Alonso P7 at the moment. Massa's lead up to 2.2 seconds. We're on lap 5. Hamilton tucked up behind the other Ferrari of Raikkonen.
Alonso, little lock up there from Heidfeld. That should give Alonso his chance.
He'll have a chance down into Lice surely, although he hasn't really got out of that corner as well as I expected. Now he's in the sweet spot, and beautifully done. Heidfeld, he's gone deep, he should be able to, Heidfeld just came back and closed off the door. So Alonso went in, he really tried to overtake him twice there, passed him down the hill and then outbraked himself. But good head there from Heidfeld, and Alonso just super aggressive, knows he needs to get on, but did not punish Heidfeld properly for the mistake he made at Chateau d'Eau, and that may well cost him badly later on in this Grand Prix.
Well, he certainly took a few chances, didn't he? He was almost 2 wheels on the grass down the inside to the Lice corner. And we've seen a few risky overtakes this year already from Fernando Alonso, particularly off the start line, if you think back to Barcelona, where it didn't work out for him. And also in Montreal. Here he's into the part of the circuit where he's quicker than the BMW driver. Can he force Heidfeld into some kind of mistake here?
Heidfeld could be on a much longer fuel strategy. There's Alonso, it's very dirty where he came in. Just couldn't slow it down properly, and Heidfeld says, I'll have that back, thank you. And that could be critical for Alonso. To be fair to Heidfeld, he gave him a car's width, and super brave from Fernando Alonso, took it, but then couldn't hang on to it when he got there.
Close again, this final part of the lap, but not close enough. And of course, Alonso's soft tyres will start to drop off a little bit in performance for a while. He needed to capitalise early on and make as many positions as he could. He started 10th, he's now in 7th place. So he's made up 3. So too has Jenson Button, who started 12th and is now in 9th. Massa leads on lap 7. Almost 3 seconds now the margin from Raikkonen. Hamilton is 3rd. Kubica 4th, exactly where he started. Fisichella is 5th. Heidfeld is 6th with Alonso right behind him. And Rosberg in 8th place. The main casualty, Heikki Kovalainen, who started this Grand Prix in 6th place, and had contact at the start with Jarno Trulli, and he has now dropped down to 19th. There is Tonio Liuzzi. He's also out after colliding with Anthony Davidson at the start line as well. There is your race leader, Felipe Massa, looking for his 5th career victory here this afternoon, being mentored by Michael Schumacher, 7 times the world champion, retired of course at the end of last year, and very much a presence in the behind the scenes at Ferrari, and Massa the one that's gaining the full benefit of it. Well, he's not been able to compete at the front, Felipe Massa, since the Spanish Grand Prix, which he won. They introduced a revised car at that point, and ever since then the performance, particularly in qualifying, was a bit off colour. It meant that McLaren were able to capitalise in Monte Carlo, Montreal and Indianapolis. But they've worked very, very hard behind the scenes in Maranello to come up with improvements for the car. They've certainly achieved that here. They're looking very strong here on lap 16. Hamilton will still have something to say about it though, in 3rd place. Alonso trying to make his way through the field and join in the battle at the front. He will be mindful of the fact that Hamilton looks like extending his championship lead over him here this afternoon, unless he can make serious inroads.
When Massa gets on pole with a good car, it just seems to step up another gear to a different class, doesn't he? I mean, it's just extraordinary in the way that he finds something extra. And it looks like McLaren who will be first to blink. Is this to get Alonso away from the gearbox of Heidfeld? But we think it's for Lewis, so bad news for McLaren. Not only are they about 8, 9 tenths slower at the moment than the Ferraris, but they're also going to be pitting first. So, in fact, it is Hamilton who pits first.
Well, this is going to take about 20 seconds out of his race. It's going to put him out somewhere around Fisichella. Sorry, I beg your pardon, somewhere around Button and Barrichello, between the two of them, when he comes back out again. Off he goes, Lewis Hamilton. That was the front jack cameraman Lee Hart there working for McLaren. Alonso in as well. Very fast turnaround by the McLaren team.
Right, well, this confirms it then. I mean, Alonso's out of the equation. He's already a pit stop behind on the track. And Hamilton then is in damage limitation mode today. He needs a 3rd place up on the podium. Hope Ferrari trip over something or have a fault of some kind, because Hamilton does not, it appear, have the speed to be anywhere close to the Ferraris.
And of course we'll get just an idea of how competitive the Ferraris really are when we see how late they come in for their pit stop. Hamilton made his pit stop then on lap 17. He's rejoined in 7th place, just in front of Rosberg and Button. And well, he's got some work to do here this afternoon.
And as we know well, Rosberg...
That's Rosberg in front of Hamilton.
Went in there, Lewis on the fresh tyres, got caught out by the lack of speed really of the Williams. And as Massa pits from the lead.
2 laps after Hamilton, so there was no great difference in the fuel strategy. Ted Kravitz.
Yeah, and the stop going very well from the Ferrari boys. The front jackman just moves out of the way. It was quite a long fill though. It should still be a 3-stopper, but just a question on the McLarens, Martin. Very unusual that they would have stopped the same lap indeed. The mechanics would have made sure, the engineers would have made sure that they didn't have to do that to lose the stress on the mechanics. So one of them might have had a problem and forced them to come in early.
Yeah, it was very close, although Alonso was 20-odd seconds behind, so just enough time to change the rig over. They didn't seem to be too flustered. They didn't appear to be surprised, but anyway.
Kubica and Fisichella both pitting on the same lap then as Felipe Massa from 3rd and 4th places as it then was. At the time, we'll see where they rejoin. Kimi Raikkonen leads the race, which is why the graphic says Felipe Massa is in 2nd place. Raikkonen goes through, fastest lap of the race, a 1:16.2, and that's the first time he's led a Grand Prix since Bahrain back in April. Back on form then, the Finn, who trails Hamilton by 26 points in the World Championship, desperately needs the win here today. What was he, 4 seconds behind Massa, I think, before Massa made his stop. That's the margin he's got to make up then over the course of this race to beat his teammate to victory here.
Well, it's making a bit of sense because he did look faster yesterday in the race running phase and just didn't appear on the grid where we expected him to be. Hamilton is falling back there. No, he's up to fourth now. Rosberg's pitted, that's why. That's why we couldn't see Rosberg in the picture.
Yeah, Rosberg into the pits, but Hamilton isn't particularly fast at the moment. He's lapping 1:17.6s. Alonso, his teammate, who pitted at the same time, is doing low 1:17s. But the last few laps, he's been much faster than Lewis Hamilton.
Kimi then, getting ready to stop.
Well, he's set the fastest lap of the race on his first lap in the lead. Here comes Alonso, though, on Fisichella. This is a pass for position. Former teammates at Renault last year and the year before. Fisichella takes the inside line, making Alonso go around the outside. But there is grip there for Alonso if he can get it. No, he can't. This is almost like a replay of Schumacher versus David Coulthard back in 2000. Absolutely fantastic racing, particularly down there at the Adelaide hairpin. The race leader, temporarily, Kimi Räikkönen, pits. Massa will retake the lead then. Or will he?
Yeah, it's got a long way to go out of that pit lane yet. Massa appears at 170 miles an hour. And Räikkönen solidly then in second place.
It's a Ferrari 1-2 here in Magny-Cours. It's been a happy hunting ground for them over the years. 5 of the last 7 races have been won here by Ferrari. Heidfeld makes his stop from third place. So it's the 2 Ferraris at the front with Lewis Hamilton trying to chase them down, but he's 9 seconds behind at the moment.
Yep, Fisichella went defensive, took the inside line from way at the beginning of the straight. Alonso tried to double back on him, but Fisichella way too wise. So probably almost hovered, and this is not a replay. This time it's Alonso that's got the inside line. Surely that's done and dusted. As long as he doesn't go into it, he can now play the same trick. Hover on the apex and nail it out of the corner. Räikkönen is now in second place. Massa that leads the Grand Prix. It's lap 23.
Alonso starting 10th on the grid after gearbox problems during qualifying. Made up 3 places early on. He's still in 7th place and once again is tucked up behind the BMW of Nick Heidfeld.
But still he's looking like a half a chance. He's trying to go around the outside. He'll have to double back underneath. And Heidfeld absolutely claimed the apex of the corner and nowhere for Alonso to go.
It's interesting, he carried lots of speed into turn 3, but then he got his front wheel on the curb on the inside and it seemed to lose grip or take it away from him. He just lost momentum there. He's done that before. He's trying very hard. He's certainly driving in a very ragged fashion, Fernando Alonso. It's wonderful to watch. Very aggressive. He's certainly not lost any of his fight.
Yeah, Alonso's worked out that taking his quicker line into 180 is hurting him because he's then slower out, and so he started to follow the line. Well, he certainly did on that lap anyway, follow the line of the BMW. I don't know why Heidfeld lost so much here, really. He sort of went defensive, he was probably watching Alonso too much, and Alonso really actually outbraked himself around the outside, didn't he? Here we go. Hit the brake about 80 metres before the hairpin. It's quite wide up there, not too slippery, so you can get away with it. Very fair driving from both drivers, and Heidfeld always giving a car's width. So why are these 2 Ferraris quicker this weekend? Well, there are various aerodynamic pieces on the car. They tested at Silverstone. Although they seem to be spinning off the track quite a lot there, they certainly found some performance gains. And Massa said, we sat the car on this track and it felt good as well. And what is that hanging off the back of... It's a bit of bunting or something, isn't it? Hanging off the back of the spiker. Albers, is that a bit of fuel rig?
I wonder. He had just come into the pits.
Yeah, it is. It's fuel rig. I don't think I can stand too close to that, my friend.
This is the pit stop. Away he goes. And you can't see it in the mirror, but behind us is a trail of very expensive silvery material. And there it is.
Oh, nearly came around like a snake to bite him, look. And no, he's saying no, he's not ready to go. Wow. Presumably there's a there's a dead man's handle on the actual fuel rig. Somebody will have... Oh, nasty. Hopefully no injuries there with the mechanics. And that, of course, also means the fuel tank is open now, completely open with that stuck in there. And a quick radio call to park it ASAP. And Alonso there, super late on the brakes. And he nearly had to take to the escape road. What was that about?
It's like bothering a salmon, this, isn't it? He's trying to get it to sort of to bite And Heidfeldt's just trying to keep a cool head while Alonso hurls a McLaren at him from all angles. Jenson Button has made his pit stop. He's come back out just in front of his teammate Rubens Barrichello. Felipe Massa has had a not particularly quick lap that last lap as Alonso tries once again at Heidfeldt. Raikkonen's closed in on him, but Hamilton is catching the pair of them. He's faster than the Ferraris at the moment by almost half a second a lap as Alonso goes down the side of Heidfeldt, and that's not normally a passing place, but it is if your name is Fernando Alonso. Supreme aggression, and what a place to do it. He flew off the racetrack there twice during the free practice session. It seemed to be a corner he wasn't particularly comfortable with, but what enormous courage from Fernando Alonso.
Enormous something or other. Anyway, probably two of them, I suspect, because that is super brave. That's a difficult corner by yourself, let alone when you're trying to overtake somebody. And again, Heidfeldt coping with it well. Alonso just found some straight line speed, picked up the slipstream, positioned himself on the turn in. Heidfeldt saw it coming, took the escape road, and Alonso kept it on the road. Here it is. Right, I want to watch this from behind a pillow. That's amazing that he got through there and on line 2. Now he can get on with it.
That was all about the speed that he got out of that turn 8. He's taken a different line through there all the time from Heidfeldt. Clearly this time his exit from it was perfect. He had the extra speed and he was able to dive through. Massa then is in the lead. He's coming through to complete another lap. Raikkonen, you can see, is right with him, and Hamilton is closing down the pair of them. It's almost halfway here in the French Grand Prix. So there are the Ferraris at the front. They've just gone through quite a lot of traffic. Felipe Massa leading the race, Kimi Raikkonen second. Lewis Hamilton is pushing like mad at the moment. There's a big gaggle of traffic which involves Rubens Barrichello, Mark Webber, David Coulthard, Alex Wurz. 11th, 12th, 13th and 14th on the racetrack. And the Ferraris lost a reasonable amount of time going through them, about a second and a half a lap as they were passing through. Now Hamilton has to get through them as well. Massa leading Raikkonen by 1.5 seconds on lap 37. Hamilton just 6 seconds behind at the moment. It'll be very much a question of how much time he loses in traffic as to how it comes out afterwards. Kubica is still 4th for BMW, 5th Alonso, 6th Heidfeldt, 7th Fisichella and 8th Rosberg. Jenson Button has made a stop as McLaren get ready for one of their 2 drivers. Jenson Button looking pretty racy here this afternoon. Which one of them is it?
It's got to be Lewis,
Hamilton.
really, hasn't it? With that amount of traffic. We know that he's just reduced the gap to 7.5 seconds now. So there's no point in making him go through that traffic, providing they can stop him and he gets out in clear air. So Hamilton then still on those harder tyres, so they're expecting to 3-stop him.
Yeah, he should come out around about his own teammate, Fernando Alonso and Robert Kubica. There is Kubica in the BMW. He'll be behind him, but in front of Fernando Alonso. Or will he be behind him? He's very, very close. They're side by side. Kubica, unbelievable. Keeps his foot in it. Hamilton's going to try and get back down the straight. Can he get a toe and then outbrake him on the fresh tyres into the Adelaide hairpin? These two are good friends as well.
It's important to remember the championship, Lewis, but he's got the he's got the grippy line, he had the inside line, but it is Kubica who tries to double back. It's a drag race down to the Nürburgring chicane, and one which Hamilton aggressively defends, very aggressively defends, and maintains that position. But he really caught Kubica on the hop there. He thought he'd covered his base, thought he'd covered the line, and Hamilton saw the width of a McLaren and just a tiny fraction more. Look at this, Kubica thinks he's got it covered, and Lewis says, not enough, mate, I'm still coming down there. And just got it, and now Kubica's double back came underneath him, and Lewis having to move across the track. It wasn't as aggressive as it looked from the other camera angle.
There's Fernando Alonso, who also was brought in by the McLaren team while we were watching that tremendous scrap between Hamilton and Kubica. They brought Alonso in as well.
This is a replay of Alonso. He'll do well to get that back on before the gravel. Oh, just. Because as soon as you get on that gravel, you're going for a trip right around the outside. And well done, because that was a big save.
Hamilton just set his fastest lap of the race so far. He's the fastest of anybody in Sector 3. He's really on the warpath now, as is Fernando Alonso, pushing very, very hard. Both men in clear air, trying to make some progress here. McLaren trying something tactically here this afternoon. Ted Kravitz, what have you got?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that Alonso does not have to stop again. I think they've switched him from a 3-stop that Lewis is on, gone back to, and Alonso would have been on a 3-stop had he started at the front. I think they switched him onto a 2-stop. You were on a different fight, but I was timing Alonso's pit stop, and of course he's used both types of tyres, so that's okay. And it was about 8.5 seconds, so I don't think Alonso has to stop again, James.
So into the pits comes the race leader, Felipe Massa. He has a 3.5-second lead over his teammate Raikkonen and a 29.5-second lead over Lewis Hamilton.
Great shot.
Looks like they're, well, is that enough fuel to get into the finish? 27 laps out of 70. Quite a lot of fuel went into that car. Very interesting to see whether he can make it to the finish or not on that.
It's very difficult. I mean, you would think so.
Yeah,
Think
he's on the soft tyre, so it's he's certainly in a. I think he might well be in a position to make it to the finish.
Of course, with the 12 litres per second, you've got to know exactly when the collar goes on and exactly how long the fuel's going in for. So you can only guesstimate the laps that they can do, but it seems absolutely clear with that change of tyres and that amount of fuel that Massa is fueled to the end. It's lap 44. He was leading Raikkonen by 2 seconds. Raikkonen now assumes the lead. Tell you, Lewis has got a problem on his hands. Kubica is just 5.4 behind him as well. Heidfeld 10 seconds behind him. If they only stop twice, Lewis has really got a problem on his hands here for that podium slot.
Here he comes down towards the pit lane now. Robert Kubica running in 4th place. In the BMW, hits the pit lane speed limiter line, 60 kilometers an hour only. The team is ready with a set of soft tyres for him. So that indicates this will be his final stint of the race. Beautiful stop by BMW. Out he goes. This is lap 47 of the French Grand Prix. Race leader Kimi Raikkonen pits, so Felipe Massa will retake the lead.
Will he though? This is going to be super tight. He was 2 seconds quicker on the last lap around, and they were 2 seconds apart when the stops commenced. Where is Massa? Massa's still going around Lise. Raikkonen's going out of the pit lane, and that is going to be nip and tuck. Almost, I think Raikkonen's got the edge. Raikkonen will take the lead of the Grand Prix, went 2 laps further, was faster, and is leading.
Brilliant, brilliant performance by Kimi Raikkonen. He took advantage of the fuel strategy to get himself in front of his teammate. Heidfeld pits from 4th in the BMW.
Right, what's going on behind him? Superguri coming around, that's out of position in many respects, not fighting with Heidfeld.
It's Takuma Sato, who's in 17th place. Alonso, the last of the points-paying positions at the moment, in 8th. He is fueled to the finish of this Grand Prix, we believe, in the McLaren.
Now, we saw that mega move by Alonso on Heidfeld, but I think in the pit stops, Heidfeld's got back in front of him. Heidfeld now ahead of Alonso again, so he's going to have to pass him all over again. He is indeed. 2.6 seconds ahead of him. So Alonso pitted a while ago, and Alonso pitted on lap 37, and Heidfeld pitted on lap 47, and in that time he got back in front of Alonso.
It's been a close fight between the two of them really all afternoon. Alonso's had a lot of attempts to get around Heidfeld. Into the pits comes Button. There is Fisichella, who's just pitted from 4th place. Button pits from 5th.
Two people working as one. Not always, of course. If they get released too early, tremendous responsibility on the shoulders of the man with the lollipop, as we've seen with fuel rigs and mechanics, or everybody getting dragged down the pit lane. Where does Button feed back into the pack? He's been lapping very quickly. We'll have to wait and see.
McLaren ready for the 3rd stop of Lewis Hamilton. Now, he's 6 seconds behind the race leader. This will take just under 20 seconds. Ted Kravitz.
Yeah, the last of the 3 stops and the soft tyres are coming by. By the way, I think Jensen's done brilliant work. He's in sniffing distance of the points. I think he might, if he can get Rosberg in the last stint, but the stop going very well at McLaren. Very light fuel load, and there he goes for Lewis. It's going to be very tight with Kubica, James.
Yeah, I think he should be okay with Robert Kubica. There is Fisichella, Giancarlo Fisichella, running in 4th place. He's the one he's got to watch out for, and he's back out in front of him. So Hamilton back out in a podium position, but he's lost a lot of ground to the Ferraris by making that extra stop. This is the battle between Wirtz and Kovalainen, 15th and 16th places. We're on board with Kovalainen. Oh, Wirtz has to get out of the throttle, but they both cut across the chicane.
Yeah, Wirtz might get away with that one because he was being pinned, and who's this? Red Bull, Toro Rosso of Scott Speed trying to come through.
Scott Speed having just made a pit stop.
Kovalainen will feel this one. He jumps across the curb and he's sitting on the floor of that car, remember. Wirtz says, I'll get away with cheating across the chicanes like you did and maintain my position. Scott Speed, who's just made a stop, joined in the action as well. This all for position. Interestingly then, Button has cleared Rosberg, is up into 8th place and a World Championship point, and much quicker than Rosberg at the moment. So Button looking good, and Alonso closing in big time on Fisichella, and we go on board immediately to have a look at that. And Alonso's tried so many times down the outside there, it just doesn't work. It was interesting to see that Lewis didn't bother with that one. He just nailed the inside when it came to passing Kubica.
Yeah, very aggressive earlier in the race. Lewis Hamilton having just come out of his pit stop. Alonso has already passed Fisichella once on the racetrack today. The story of this French Grand Prix, probably the last here in Magny-Cours on a cloudy day where rain threatened but never actually came, so far anyway, is that it's not really McLaren's day. Fernando Alonso starting 10th with gearbox problems has made progress, but he's still only 7th, where he was more or less at the end of the first lap. As into the pits comes Heikki Kovalainen. And we look at the Greg Baker's helmet camera, one of the mechanics there in the Renault team. The McLarens have tried something a bit different today on the strategy. They got Lewis Hamilton in onto a 3-stop strategy, and he's lost a fair bit of time to the Ferraris as a result of it. 25 seconds now behind the race leader, but the critical turning point of the race was around the time of the second pit stops. Felipe Massa had led most of this race, but Kimi Raikkonen stayed out 2 laps longer in his second stint. Massa had a slow couple of laps, and it meant that Raikkonen was able to leapfrog his teammate to take the lead of the Grand Prix. And Raikkonen is heading towards his first victory since the opening round of the World Championship in Australia, and one that he very desperately needs, having failed to stand on the podium since the Bahrain Grand Prix in April. Raikkonen is back. Kimi just looking across to the camera there. 7 laps to go to the finish, and it's great to see him back on form. And he really got a hurry up from the president of Ferrari, Luca de Montezemolo. Last weekend, of course, the company celebrated its 60th anniversary.
Lewis appears to be quite content to stay behind me. Confirm with McLaren that he's pushing. Yes, the blue flags are off. Blue flags off, keep going.
Talking about Lewis Hamilton, who seems content behind him. He doesn't want to get a drive-through penalty for not letting him through. But anyway, I was just telling you about Luca di Montezemolo, the Ferrari president. Last weekend, the 60th anniversary celebrations of Ferrari as a constructor of motor cars, and Montezemolo said, we are all waiting for the real Kimi Raikkonen to show up, the one who all the other drivers fear. And that is about as big a hurry-up as you can possibly get from the most important man at Ferrari, and it certainly seemed to have worked. That and this new revised car, which Raikkonen's so much more happy with. It suits his driving style so much better. And this is, I think, the beginning of a Raikkonen resurgence in the second half of 2007. Great to see.
Yeah, the point there really is quite clear. Lewis has caught the Red Bulls, but just doesn't want to get involved. No need to. Nothing he can do up front. He's 30 seconds, 31 seconds adrift now. No threat from behind. Kubica's 10 seconds behind with 6 laps to go. He might get a little hurry up with that one. He might not quite have that luxury. Let's see what the Red Bulls are doing. They're 1:18.0, so he might feel the need to squeeze back up behind Coulthard and pass him.
We've got 5 retirements from this race. Scott Speed, who we didn't see what happened to him. Christian Albers, who took his fuel hose with him after a pit stop, ripped it out of the fuel rig and stopped just a few yards after the pit lane exit. Anthony Davidson, who was involved in a collision at the start with Tonio Liuzzi, who has also retired, and Jarno Trulli, who smashed into the back of Heikki Kovalainen in the Adelaide hairpin on the first lap.
Button, the biggest gainer so far up in PA. That World Championship point, if he gets it, will feel like a victory for Jenson Button. I wouldn't be at all surprised. They're so desperate to get off the mark. Rosberg stayed 9th. And here is the second part of the field. Wirtz up 4 places from a disappointing qualifying. Kovalainen down 9, got tagged by Trulli on the first lap.
Well, we started by telling you that every race this season has been won from the front row of the grid, and all but one of them have been won from pole position, as Adrian Sutil does a little bit of high-speed gardening. Oh, Kimi Raikkonen is about to break that pattern, starting 3rd on the grid, coming through to win the Grand Prix. Massa's going to finish in 2nd place, and Lewis Hamilton, who's averaged over 8 points a race so far this weekend, he's only going to pick up 6. But it still maintains his perfect sequence of a podium in every one of his Grand Prix starts. This is the 8th race of his career, and it's his 8th podium as well.
Bulletproof today, the Ferraris on reliability. They've had a couple of moments this year where the cars didn't quite survive. They look absolutely back on form, don't they?
They do. There have been a lot of problems at Ferrari. They had a breakage in their wind tunnel, which cost them 2 weeks of development. That's coincided with them falling behind the McLarens in Monaco and Montreal. They've put their heads together. Aldo Costa, the chief engineer, who's taken over from Ross Brawn, has worked hard, and it's given Kimi Raikkonen, who's driven sensationally here today, his first victory since the start of the season. Raikkonen wins in France. It's a Ferrari 1-2 ahead of Felipe Massa, with Lewis Hamilton in 3rd place. And they are back on the strongest possible form. Here comes Hamilton. He did what he could. He had a different strategy from everybody else today. He 3-stopped to everybody else's 2. Didn't work out for him. He just didn't have the speed on race day that he had in qualifying. Nevertheless, he's played the percentage game here this afternoon. 6 important points for him.
He needs to get some sponsorship from Brasso or something, because that's another pot for the trophy cabinet. Amazing for Lewis Hamilton. Raikkonen, that will be one very relieved man.
Alonso started 10th, finished 7th. Only 2 points for him. He's lost more ground to Lewis Hamilton in the Championship Challenge. And Jenson Button picks up his first World Championship point. Great news for him and Honda. Well, the Ferrari president, Luca Di Montezemolo, said he was still waiting for the real Kimi Raikkonen. I think we've seen him here today, and Ferrari are certainly back in business. But Lewis Hamilton still leads the championship by 14 points as we all head to his home Grand Prix at Silverstone next Sunday. We look forward to seeing you all there.
I kind of expected to have a bit difficult times, and okay, people always think that you lost it when you don't have a good results, but we just work hard and try to get it right, and I think so we still can we can still improve, and we're not still where we want to be, but we definitely are much happier with the car since the last test.
Not 100% happy because of the result, but I'm very, very happy because, you know, the car was fantastic from the beginning to the end. I did a great race in a very quick pace all the time. Unfortunately, I just got a lot of traffic in the second stint, which penalized my strategy.
We didn't get a good start, and that was our, that was the biggest problem. We lost the place to both Ferraris, or to Kimi at least, and then I was quicker than him at the beginning, and I just couldn't get past him.
When you cross the line and finish the race and the team tell you that you are 7th, you realize that maybe it was not so good race, but in the car for sure it's fun.
We're approaching halfway stage in the championship and we're faced, it seems, with a resurgent Ferrari. Is it now time for McLaren to make you their focus for the championship?
I don't know, you should ask them. I mean, I don't know. I think we both obviously, you know, Fernando had an unfortunate weekend, but he did a good job to get some points today, which is extremely important for not only him but the team. But I'm just going to keep doing the job I'm doing, and you know, I'm enjoying it. Even when you don't win, you finish on the podium. Still, it's a great weekend.
So it's another twist to this fascinating season. Ferrari are back. Raikkonen is back as a race winner. There's the Ferrari 1-2 with Lewis Hamilton salvaging the best available result with that 3rd place. Outstanding performance from Kubica 3 weeks after that horror crash in Montreal. He's driver of the day with 4th. Heidfeld and Fisichella finishing ahead of a frustrated Fernando Alonso. And at last, a point for Honda coming from Jenson Button's 8th place. Drivers' Championship, Hamilton strengthening his lead over Alonso, 14 points in front, and it's still a significant lead over Massa and Raikkonen, but we're not yet at the halfway point of this season. And with that 1-2, it's a bit more of a battle in the Constructors' Championship. Ferrari now just 25 points behind McLaren. The return to form of Ferrari, an important extra ingredient for the British Grand Prix at Silverstone next weekend. Coming up, we'll have analysis of everything that's happened in this French Grand Prix from Mark Blundell. We'll have a chance at the ITV F1 competition as well. But first of all, let's hear from our race winner, Kimi Raikkonen, with Louise Goodman.
You're back on the top step of the podium. Is there a slight feeling of relief, because it has been a bit of a lean spell for you?
Yeah, it's been a bit hard time in the last few months, but that's racing, and we knew that we had some problems, and we tried to get everything right, and luckily now, or not lucky, but it started to pay off what we've been working on hard, and the car started to be where I like it to be, and I think so the tires are working better with the car, so kind of all packages coming together, and it helps also me.
So Ferrari looking strong going into Silverstone as well?
If you look from last race, the difference between the teams is massive, so you never know. We had a very strong test and we expect to be strong. We're going to get some new stuff for the next race, so hopefully we can be in a similar shape and see who wins.
Well done.
And he won it today with all the old Kimi Raikkonen style and authority. We'll examine exactly how with Mark Blundell in just a moment. But first of all, here's a chance at our ITV F1 competition, and there's a quite amazing prize on offer.
We're giving you a chance to win an exclusive copy of the F1 Opus Champions book, limited to only 100 copies worldwide and valued at £20,000. It's a true collector's item and features giant Polaroid photographs of Formula One greats as never seen before. The Champions Edition is signed by all 18 living F1 World Champions, from Jack Brabham to Fernando Alonso. It comes in a carbon fibre clamshell presentation case and has a microchip embedded in the spine, so each copy can be tracked by satellite. To be in with a chance of winning this unique prize courtesy of Kraken Opus, just answer this simple question. Who was the last Frenchman to become Formula One World Champion? Was it A, Olivier Panis, B, Alain Prost, or C, René Arnoux? The number to call is 0901 293 2020, or text F1 plus your answer A, B or C to 63337. Calls cost £1 per entry from a BT landline. Calls from other networks and mobiles may be higher. Text will cost £1 plus the standard network rate. Lines close just before midnight this Thursday, the 5th of July, and entrants must be 18 or over.
Good luck with that and start reinforcing those bookshelves. We've had Kimi Raikkonen win this French Grand Prix, the last French Grand Prix here at Magny-Cours. How significant is this Ferrari return to form that we've seen today, Mark?
I think it's a big situation now, because Ferrari are definitely back. McLaren know that as well. Bit unsure on what McLaren did with their strategy today. I think they need to analyse that. But from the start of this race, Ferrari took the lead. And it was a great start by the two Ferraris, Kimi Raikkonen especially. Lewis Hamilton had nothing he could do. He just had to slot in behind the two red cars, and from that point onwards things went on. This is an unfortunate situation for Anthony Davis, and he tapped into the back of Luzzi there, something that he created himself and put him out the race, and Luzzi as well. Got down into the hairpin, truly tapped into the back of Kovalainen with a Renault. Kovalainer's race ruined.
And the one thing that we haven't seen from Raikkonen this year is starts like that. That's a bit of his trademark, and it does show that he's back on form.
It does indeed, and I think he's gelled with the car. They've got a car now which I think suits his style, and you can see that he's a lot more at ease and a lot more at home.
Alonso, starting on the softer tyres, needed to make early progress, was so aggressive in the early stages, but frustrated.
Very frustrating for him, but this move here at the Imola chicane, I don't think I've ever seen anybody so committed going into that corner and making the move count. Watch him slip up the inside. He pushes Heidfeld wide in a BMW. He stays on line, fully committed, fully focused. Unbelievable overtaking manoeuvre.
But it took him a while to make that sort of progress, and in the end the tactics just rebounded against him.
They did, and I think some of that was just down to also what was going on with McLaren, what were they thinking, and maybe even Alonso. He was pushing so hard, but at the same time he was hitting traffic and traffic. I think McLaren tried to pull him out of that traffic, but it rebounded.
From early on, Lewis Hamilton was on a sort of damage limitation exercise, but we saw one great moment from him when he exited the pits up against Robert Kubica here.
Well, he knew this was for position as well, making sure that he had to make it count. He'd just come out of the pits, very defensive, but very clean and very fair. But little bit of difference there with Lewis Hamilton. He's young and aggressive, and he made it stick and he made it count, and he made it count immediately out of the pits on that outlap.
But Ferrari's day and Raikkonen's day, and really the foundation of his victory is the way he performed in that penultimate stint ahead of the last pit stop.
Well, I think everything stems from qualifying, where he carried a little bit more fuel, made sure he was up the front end of the grid, and that fuel carried throughout that race because he managed to do at least 4 laps more than Massa. And when those laps are there for him, when Massa was in the pit, he was very quick indeed, Steve. And his out laps are superior to Massa's. He was some 6-7 tenths and nearly 8 tenths on his second out on the pit stop. That's where it all counted. That's Raikkonen of old, and I think that's Raikkonen of new now. With this new Ferrari set up for him, I think you'll see a lot more.
OK, so it's on to Silverstone, the British Grand Prix next weekend. Lewis Hamilton goes there with a 14-point lead. Jenson Button goes there with new hope. Fernando Alonso goes there with points to prove. But Ferrari go there with the form. It's going to be a fantastic British Grand Prix. Join us at Silverstone next weekend.